was that a classroom of about 30 or 40 students had at least sometimes 7 or 10 peers levels, and the fellows didn't know how to address. It's musical, it's music. Yeah, you have to sing it.
Hello, ma'am.
Hi, ma'am.
Could you please introduce yourself in short?
Yeah. So my name is Pooja. I'm an international educator, and I've taught in various international schools, globe-trotted. I started my teaching career about almost more than 25 years ago, and recently, for the past 7-8 years, I have been developing curriculum, doing teacher training. 4 years ago, I was with Teach for India, and I was a math consultant, and now I'm here.
So, what made you an educator?
Yeah, so teaching was, I think, very innate to me, and when I finished my MBA, I knew the corporate world is not for me. I did my MPhil thinking I would go into lectureship. Then I got married, got posted. We were in Geneva, and the international school there seemed the right choice. Fortunately, I got an opportunity to teach the early childhood program there. When I left, after about a year and a half, the director of the school told me that if I want to go ahead with the teaching career, I must have a B.Ed, a Bachelor in Education, like a license to teach. So, from the University of South Africa, where we were posted in Durban, I took the degree. 2 years degree it was. I studied, became a qualified teacher, and then there was no looking back.
Okay.
So, became a teacher, an educator. Yeah.
So, I just want to know, like, what is one thing that really taught you hard, to become a teacher? What is that thing which inspired you?
See, I'm a math teacher basically, and I know that math is a subject which either you love or you hate it.
Okay.
And my own sibling used to hate math. So sometimes, he's older to me, he would come to me and ask me some math questions. And I just thought maybe that, his foundation is not, because he would just fear math. So very early on, I started tutoring my peers, for example, and I just felt that the right kind of instruction makes all the difference.
Exactly.
It removes the fear. So I think the seed was born then.
Okay.
And that's how I became a math teacher.
So you have been to many other countries, and you have you know the situations of different schools and all. So what are the common things that you have found?
I think the common things is that each classroom is different, and each classroom does not have one glove fit all kind of a situation. It's very important for the teacher to know the audience. So whether it is let's say a school in Nepal, or a international school in Geneva, or a school in South Africa, you have to understand from where the child is coming, from where your student is coming. That dynamism you have to understand, and then accordingly you have to teach. And once you get the pulse of the kid, I think half the battle is won.
Okay.
So that is where the connect is, and that is where the true teaching and the right type of instruction is done.
Okay, ma'am. So you are now with us for a few hours. So what is your session all about?
Yeah, so I am doing a session on differentiated instruction, because I think that is something which the fellows who are teaching classrooms with students that number about 30, 35, 40 struggle. They can never find one lesson plan that is fitting the entire class. So they have to tier their instruction, and that is why the session about differentiated instruction.
Okay, so yeah, this will be really helpful for our upcoming fellows. So anything that you want to say, like you have lots of experience of teaching, you have been to different countries, so any wisdom, like 3 or 4?
We are lifelong learners.
Exactly.
I think learning is a collaborative process. So if you connect with the student, there's so much you learn from the student. So every classroom experience is, you have a takeaway, and you come out as a more learned teacher.
Okay.
And I think if you make a difference in the child's understanding and the understanding of the concept, and you motivate a child, it's the most gratifying. So that is where I think you get the contentment, the gratification. So when I was Teach for India, for instance, I would go into the remotest of the places where sometimes the fellows will say, you have to wear gum boots. It's all slushy and muddy, and you have to come to the class. We are like just back of the beyond.
Okay.
And just going there and planting yourself and seeing how teaching is done. And you won't believe the students there used to be like sponges. They wanted to learn.
Okay.
So for them, they were like very eager to learn. And if the right type of instruction is given to them, they just soak it in.
Exactly.
It is so gratifying. So
Yeah.
for me, I think the takeaway is just keep your tentacles open, keep them, have the dynamism. There is nothing static in teaching. You have to just continuously keep learning, keep kind of evolving your lesson plan, keep understanding your student, keep going deeper and deeper. So.
Yeah, I need to ask you one question. So the thing is, while I was studying in my school, I couldn't connect math with my life. So for an example, let's say a square plus b squared equals to ab. Where will I use that? And where will I use Pythagoras theorem and all?
Yeah.
So how can we connect? Because of that, I never liked math.
Yeah.
I only could connect with plus, minus, into, divide.
Yeah. Yeah, that is what I think the math teacher has to connect, make it a very collaborative process. So you have to connect maybe with your social studies teacher, maybe with your history teacher, maybe with the science teacher, and you have to kind of tell the students how they can actually see the concept that they have learned in action in the other classes.
Okay.
So for example, in the science lab, you are doing the volumes and areas. That's where, your knowledge of concept of what you have learned in math would actually be put into action. You would be finding volumes, areas of beakers, other instruments. Just an example, when you're doing map studying in geography, that's again the scaling that you do, in math. That can be put into practice. So just for you to just step out of the classroom and collaborate with the teacher, so that the math student can see the math alive.
Okay.
Outside.
So now, final last question. What would you like to say to those like for upcoming fellows? Let's say this video might be watched it might be watched in 2025 or in 2030. So what would you like to say to like upcoming fellows or anyone? So to any teachers who wants to be. So any advice that you would like to say
I
at the
would like
end?
to say that don't get disgruntled. There would be lots of pitfalls. Sometimes the class takes at least about 2 to 3 months to start. You will not find immediate results. You have to keep doing the spade work. So don't get disgruntled. Keep going, keep the motivation, keep doing the spade work. Work into every detail. Make the classrooms alive. Put graphs, put chart papers so that the learning is everywhere. And just try to, even in the informal conversation with the student, try to understand the background that he's coming from. Also try to connect with the parents. Sometimes, that instead of a vicious circle, it can become a virtuous circle.
Exactly.
So it's an ongoing process, and it's absolutely a 24-hour process. You're always thinking of your students when you're in the non-class hours also. But it's very gratifying, and then, as I said, maybe after 2 months, after 3 months, it's like a domino effect. Once the student knows, he can achieve, he can do something, it is doable, he can kind of accelerate on the grade level, then there's no looking back for the student also. He's so motivated. So get that drilled into the student that he can do it.
Exactly.
Even if you have to start at the very base, but he should get that pat in the back that yes,
Exactly.
you can do it.
Exactly.
It's in you.
Exactly.
And then very slowly, small steps, then it can be amazing, as I say. Then it's like a domino effect.
Exactly. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your time.
Thank you. Thanks, Mike.
With your drawing. Okay, so this is the scenario of the poem, The Daffodils. So here we have a poet here, William Wordsworth, who is very sad and is wandering over these mountains and hills. So here he looks sad because of the background of where it is. He has recently lost his brother.
So our favorite part was the first stanza, and it goes like this. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high over waves and hills, when all at once I saw a cloud, a host of golden daffodils.
With white daisies. So literally we have to read it on the poem. As the instruction says, rewrite the poem in if instead of golden daffodils there were white daisies.
Our task is to paraphrase the poem. I don't know if we preserve our memory.
Our instruction was to change the ending of the poem.
was the objective of this group activity? Come again, please. Yeah, absolutely right.
I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high over vales and hills. When all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils.
So very good. If I didn't know daffodils, I know it now. Intelligence, very good. There's one key word that I want from you.
Differentiating the learners.
Differentiating the learners, very good. Bloom's taxonomy, I think you need to know that. Very good. So it's just not the multiple intelligences, in fact very well done. Because multiple intelligences, again somebody is drawing, somebody is putting music into it. There's creation. There was not tactile in it, maybe drawing tactile. A learner who is again trying to understand what the poem is about. So you know this is the transition, this is the whole story, you know, week 1 this happened and by week 3 this happened. My question to you is, what if we jumped onto week 3 goal right away?
Louder.